We are doing the review for exam 3, which covers chapter 6, polynomials, right? So if we ask you what is a polynomial, how you are going to describe it. So we know poly means many terms in, many terms of certain kind of term, right? So each term will be what? We say you have x to the power and with the coefficient in front of it, right? The power can be what? 0, 1, 2, 3, but all the positive numbers, right? Whole numbers, but the non-negative. But the many terms means you put them together by what? Addition or subtraction, right? So we say a polynomial in x, just do one variable for now, is what? A finite sum of the term like those, right? We don't do infinite. Infinite has different meaning, okay? We just say, okay, 10 terms, 5 terms, as such. So that's how we describe a polynomial, right? So, like this one, we classify it 2 ways, right? So by degrees, how high it goes, and also by what? How many terms. So we would describe a polynomial this way. So what do you think of this degree? Which is the highest one? Each one has a different degree, right? This is the 5th degree, 2nd degree, 8th degree. But which one is the highest one? 8, right? So we say it's 8th degree. How many terms we have? 3 terms. So we say it is what? 8th degree trinomial. That's how we describe a polynomial, right? So how do we find the degree? We do it by what? It is the highest one, right? Greatest degree of any term, any one of them, right? Then, next one, how do you write a polynomial in standard form? Is this a standard form? No. How do you write that in standard form? It means what? You write it in the highest degree to the lower one. So you will write what? Highest one, 8th. The sign goes with the term behind it, right? Plus next one, 3x 5th plus what? 6x squared, right? So how do we do that? We will write with the exponent, okay, from higher to the lower. So it will be decreasing from the left to right, right? And if you have numbers, right, you will leave it at the end, right? So, and the constant number, we call it constant term. At the end. Okay? If we have this one, 2m minus 4m cubed minus 6, how you will write your standard form for it? Highest one, so you will write 4m q plus 2m minus 6. Then we would describe this polynomial as what? By degree and by terms. So you would say it's a third degree trinomial, right? Then we classified them by how many terms and by degree. Then by the terms, we also give the name, right? So if it's a monomial, how do we describe it? How many terms that would be? Mono, right? So it means what? A polynomial with how many terms? Exact one term, right? So like this one. One term. Do we call it monomial? No, because monomial is one kind of polynomials, right? Because polynomials, you will be what? The power x is a base, not in the denominator. So this one is not a monomial, right? Because it can write x to the what? -2 power. Then if you have negative power, it's not a poly, right? Next one. So for the poly, you have to power needs to be what? 0 or positive. Remember that. We have different names for those. You learn in your 152B class. Okay. Then next one, how do you find the degree of monomial in one variable? Degree means what? The power, right? If one variable is very easy, that's how high it goes. But if you have more variables, then you have to figure out, right? If it's just one variable, it's just what is the degree, which is their power, right? So 7z fifth, so this one would be what? 5th degree, right? If -4m, what's the degree? Invisible 1. So it is 1st degree, right? If just a number constant, then what happened? What's the degree? It's like you have a variable with how many degrees? 0, right? The degree is what? 0. And so because 0, anything to the 0 is 1. So that will be 0 degree. Okay. Next one, we ask you, what does FOIL mean? We're not going to test you on this one, but we use it all the time, right? F means first. Then O means what? Outer. I means what? Inner. L means last. That just means what? When you multiply, when we multiply certain things, it's a special kind of multiplication. When we multiply 2 terms times 2 terms, that means binomial times a binomial. Then we use this, right? We distribute. Then we call it FOIL, right? So next 4 examples, then we will practice the distributive property. Okay? If 2 terms, we just call it FOIL. Okay. But this one, Usually in class, we'll ask you to do it, then we'll check on you. But here, we just show you. So you better have a hands-on. So let's see. We'll do the top, right? First one times everything behind, then second one. So you follow through. Don't jump around. One here. Then you will all messed up. Okay, so first one, 2 and y how many? 2y4, right? And next one, y times y would be y squared. Next one, y times 4 be 4y, right? Then you follow the next term for the first group. So you follow it sequentially so you don't mess them up. So 5 times 2, 10, negative 10. So we want to line them up, right? But the y4, y squared, there is no y cubed, so you write it in between, minus 10y cubed, right? Then this one, minus 5y, this one, plus 20, right? Then combine like terms. Put them together, that would be what? 2y4th power minus 10y cubed and plus y squared. Y, they are the same. Combine like terms, right? Plus 20. Listen to it, it's easy, but when you do it, just want to make sure, so you better have a hands-on. Okay, next one, we are still practicing what? Distributive property, right? We are doing the polys. We do add, subtract, multiply, and divide, right? So we add them, then we multiply them as well. So square, okay? Don't give me each square. Don't do that. Don't distribute because you have 2 terms. So you multiply them, binomial times binomial. You need to use distributive property, right? So you need to write it, then multiply, multiply itself twice. Then you do the following. 2m times 2m, 4m squared, right? 2m times 1 plus 2m. Then bottom rainbow, what do we have? 1 times 2m plus 2m, 1 times 1 plus 1. Then you combine the like terms, so we will have 4m squared plus 4m plus 1, right? Okay, then do next one. 2a plus 3b times 4a minus 5b. Same thing. 2a times 4a, that would be 8a squared, right? 2a times negative 5b, that would be negative 10ab, right? Then the bottom rainbow, 3b times 4, 8, positive 12, a and b, right? Usually we follow the alphabetical order when we write it. Then last one, 3 times 5, negative 15, bb would be what? B squared. Then we simplify them, then put the things alike together. That would be, things alike are what? Same variable, same power, right? Same variable, same power. So it would be a squared plus 12 plus what? 2ab minus 15b squared, right? especially for reviews, instead of listening, you should print it out your blank paper with questions, right? Do it first yourself. Then continue to watch the video, then check your answer. That's better way. Okay? So we have here, then when we did a lot of distribution, you messed up this one. Okay, don't distribute them. Why? You don't have how many terms, then you do the distributive. Actually, this is what? One term, this is one term. One term times one term should be just one, right? All multiplication, you should do the shorthand writing. Instead of like 2 terms times 2 terms, you have 4 terms, then cleaned up, end up a trinomial. But this one, actually just a -2, right? How many x's? 9, 7 and 2. How many y's? 1 and 5, that would be 6. That's how you do, right? Then we are doing polynomials, so it means we are doing what? Add, subtract, multiply, and divide. When we do the multiply, we did what? Add and subtract as well, right? The difficult one only, what do we have here for polynomials? That would be division, right? Long division. You might have some difficulties. Okay, if this one means it multiplies itself twice, right? Then you do your rainbow things. 2m times 2m is what? 4m squared, right? 2m times -5 is what? Minus 10m, right? Then bottom rainbow, -5 times 2 is what? Minus 10m again. -5 times -5 is what? Plus 25, right? Then combine the like terms should be what? 4m minus 20m plus 25, right? Then if you have a plus 2m plus 5, that would be what? Same thing, except it is positive, right? All the same except that the middle part is a plus, so you distribute out, you should have what? 4m squared plus 20m plus 25. Make sure you do it yourself just like this, then the result should be, instead of minus minus, you should have plus plus, end up is what? Plus 20m, right? One more 12 things. Let's see. We have 3x minus 4y, take the square, right? So first you will write a what? Multiply itself twice. Write it out, right? Then you do what? Distribute, right? So you do that. 3 would be what? 9x squared. Next one, 3x and 4y will be minus 12xy, right? Then lower rainbow, then that would be -12 and x and y, right? And -4 would be what? Positive 16. Y how many? Square. Usually you will messed up at the end. Somehow at the beginning you are fine, then at the end you miss your y square. Then combine like terms, we'll have what? 9x squared minus 24xy plus 16y squared, right? Shouldn't be too bad. That's the what? Multiplication of certain square. Binomial take square, right? what happens if you have one is positive, one is negative, right? The sum of the multiplication of a sum and the difference. Those are same thing. You multiply twice, you will all end up what? A trinomial, right? So far, we all end up what? Trinomial, right? But this one will be different because one is plus, one is minus. If you multiply itself twice, you will all end up a trinomial, right? But this one, let's see, 2m times 2m will be 4m squared, 2m times negative 5 minus 10m, right? And this one, 5 times 2m will be plus, because 1 is plus, 1 is minus. End up 1 is plus, 1 is minus. 5 times 5 is negative 5. And end up, it's different. What happened? This cancel out. So you have what? 4m squared minus 25. How many terms you have? Only 2. Binomial. So if one is a sum, they are the same kind, right? 2m, 2m, 5, 5. So 1 is plus, 1 is minus. You end up the middle part cancel out, right? You end up only have what? A binomial, not like those. You have trinomial. Okay? Next one. When do you use long division of poly? Okay? So if you have, like you have this one, k, then you have 5x4, 3x squared plus 4, divided by what? X. Do you need to use the things we just did those? Like something outside, something inside, you do the division? Not really, because you only divide by what? One term, monomial. You can just divide each one by that, then you don't have to do this, right? We do the vertical way only when you have what? You have more terms here, okay? So only when we do the more term, we use this way, we call it what? Long division type, right? Only when what? When it is divided by more things, by a what? Binomial, maybe a trinomial, or higher, right? Then we call it what? A long division, higher power, okay, degree of what? Poly. Then we do that. If you have 3 terms, you have to better put it like this to divide. Okay, if one term, you can just distribute it and distribute, then do it vertically. Right? Okay, let's review some division. So, if we have this one, 14y plus 5y squared minus 10 divided by y plus 3, right? So we say we want to write it this way, y plus 3, long division. More than one term, you need to do that way. How do you write it inside for your numerator? You need to write it in what? Standard form, right? So you need to write a 5y squared plus 14y minus 10. How should we start? Long division. So you need to do what? How many terms can go into it? 2 terms, 2 terms. But we can only compare, get the quotient by what? Mono to mono. Okay, so we can only compare the first term to first term. So 5y squared divided by y, so it's what? 5y, first quotient. So it's 1 degree, so you lined up with 1 degree on top of it, right? Then what do? You multiply back. 5y times y, 5y squared, right? 5y times 3 plus 15y, right? Then what do? You subtract them. Then don't make a mistake that way. So 5y squared cancel out, right? So your third step would be what? 14 minus 15. That would be what? -1. So -1y, right? Then what's the next step? You drop your 10. Then what do? Repeat, right? The first step is what? For repeating is what? Find your quotient. So what's your, this one now? So you do the next step, -y divided by y is what? -1, right? So you put your -1 here. Then you multiply back. So -1 times y is -y. -1 times 3, -3, right? Then what's the next step? You subtract. Then you make a mistake here, right? So be careful. You better write it horizontally. So when you see it vertically, somehow you make a mistake. So if you write a -10, right? Minus -3. So all the numbers is here instead of mingle with other things. Okay, so what do you have? -10 plus 3 would be what? -7. So your remainder is -7. Right? So how do you write your answer? We say you write the answer is what? Quotient 5y minus 1 plus what? Your remainder over your divisor. That's how you write your answer. Right? And then how do you know you are doing right? You need to check. How do you check? So you have to multiply back. See, you can get back, including the remainder, right? So you do your quotient times your divisor, right? So check by what? Quotient times divisor plus your remainder. You have to go back to original dividend, we'll call it. Right? So let's check. 5y times y, 5y squared, right? 5y times 3 plus what? 15y, right? And -1 times y minus y and minus 3. So what do we have? 5y squared plus 14y minus 3. Did we get back? Not quite. 5y squared plus 14y minus 10. What happened? Because we have the remainder. We have to add the remainder plus -7. So did we get back? Yes. That would be minus 10. Right? Okay. We have one more for division. You better do it yourself. Okay, we have 2x squared minus 2x minus 5 divided by x3 minus 3, right? First step, how many terms do we need? 2, right? So first step, you have to find the first quotient, and you can only compare mono to mono. So you compare first term Then 2x squared divided by x is what? 2x. So you leave your 2x there, right? Then what do we do? Second step, multiply back, right? Multiply back. 2x times x, 2x squared, 2x times -3 minus 6x. Is that right? Then, what do we do? Subtract, right? So, first terms cancel it out. Next one, you better do it right. -2 minus -6. That would be what? -2 minus -6, right? So that would be -2 plus, oops, it's 4. -2 plus 6, which is what? 4. So you should have 4x here, right? Then what's the next step? You drop down, right? Then do it all over again. Okay, find another quotient. So you compare mono to mono. 4x to x is what? 4. Positive. Remember your sign. Positive. Right? Then multiply back. 4 times x, 4 times x, 4x. 4 times -3 minus 12. Right? Then you subtract them. Right? And first terms cancel out. Then next one is what? -5 minus -12. What do you think that would be? -5 plus 12. So the remainder should be 7. Right? How do you know you are doing right? You need to check. By what? Quotient times divisor plus your remainder, you should get back to where? Dividend, right? So you will have 2x plus 4 times x minus 3, right? Quotient times the divisor, then you plus your remainder, see you can get back. Then you distribute 2x times x, 2x squared, 2x times -3 minus 6x, right? Then 4 times x, 4x 4 times -3 minus, right? So what do we have? 2x squared, then plus 7, right? So minus 2x, then plus 5. Oh, didn't get back. That means something wrong. Double check. -12 plus 7 is -5, right? So that would be our long division. If you are divided by more than one term, right? So 2 terms, 3 terms, that would be the long division. But a lot of time when you can do long divisions, then you messed up your simple one. Okay? Because you are divided by a mono. You don't have to do that. Okay? All you need to do is just separate them mono to mono so you can simplify them, right? So you do individually, right? Then minus 3x squared over x plus 4 over x. And first 2 are fine. Then you have problem for the third one somehow. Okay? So those cancel out, become 3 of them. So you have 5x cubed, right? Then second one, you are fine. Cancel out, you have minus 3x. Somehow the last one, you messed up. Because that would be the simplest form. You have nothing to cancel, right? So then your x is in the denominator. It doesn't go anywhere. It should stay there. Then that would be your answer. Okay? So mano to mano division, just simplify them. Then if you are on the numerator position, then it stays there. If it's in the denominator, it stays there. Like this one, you cancel out, then that's all you have for the simplest form, right? Then if you have x cubed, what happened? Same thing, 1x squared, then x squared should stay where it is, right? So we did all the add, subtract, multiply, and divide. We also did what? Some negative exponents, right? Then, but we don't write answers in negative exponents because we want to see them positively, right? In positive fashion. So let's do some more with the multiplication. So how many terms times how many terms? One term times one term, so the answer should still be one term. So number times number, positive. How many x's? 3 and 5, totally 8. And y cubed, that would be what? Y fourth. So that would be your answer, right? Then for this one, okay, number with numbers. So you have what? -5, right? So for numbers, you have a -5 somehow. Then you have a -5 here and -18 and -6. And when you move around, some of you will move your -5. Why you wanted to do that? You don't. We only move what? The things with negative exponent, right? -5 is a real -5, so it should stay. So -5 should stay there, don't move it. That's a real number, right? And -18, negative is the power. Then we say the power with negative thing doesn't mean negative, it means what? The reciprocal, it's just a symbol. So you need to move m to what? 18. Then do you move m -6? Yes. Then become what? m6. Remember, your -5 should stay, right? Then you simplify, you cancel out, then 1 here, how many left here? 12. So your answer should be -5 over m to the 12th power. Okay, simple one, but you have to clarify the concepts in your head, okay? Don't mingle them. Which one is symbol? Which one is real negative thing? Okay? And next one, we have -5x, -3, y cubed, -4 power. So how many terms inside? Just one, because they are multiplying together as one term. One term has a power, just like your a, b to the nth power. How many a's you have to the n? How many b's you have in? So you have to distribute your power to everything inside, right? Then write it individually. So -5 is a negative. It stays negative, stays with 5. So you have -5 to the -4 power, right? X -3 to the -4th power, y squared to the negative fourth power, right? Then power on power, am to the nth power, we should have what? Power, you multiply that, power property, right? So first we write individual things with its own power first. Here you have two powers, too many, you have to consolidate that. So what do we have? X to the 12, right? Y to the negative 8. Is that right? Then we say we want to write the answers with all the positive exponents. So, do we flip this? Right? This one negative power, you have to flip. So you should have flipped to fourth power, but what's your base? Negative 5. Negative 5 is a real negative. But since the power is negative, we have to move it. Right? Do we move x to the 12th? No, we don't. Right? Because that's positive. This one negative, you move here to the 8th. Right? Then for number, we spell it out. Negative 5 times 4 times, positive or negative? Positive 625. Okay? So that will be x 12th, 8th, y 8th power. Right? Manageable, okay? You will have one of those on your exam as well. Same thing as the next one. Actually, if you follow the process as we said, then you should be fine, okay? You just do one step at a time, okay? So x to the 0 power is what? 1, right? Then you have two things in the parentheses apply to 3. You need to apply to what? Power and distribute to each one of them. So you have 2 to the 3 power, x negative 1 to the 3 power, right? Here it's individual one, right? Then what do you need to write? Too many powers. For one individual, you have to consolidate your power by power. Use power property, you multiply your powers. So you have 1 times 8 times what? X to the negative 3, right? Then here is x, here is what? Negative 5 times negative 1 is 5, right? So that will be your 8. Then, do we move this? Yes, negative, so you have x to the 3rd power, right? Then, here you don't move x and x 5th. So final answer will be what? 8. And how many x's? Total 9. So that would be your answer. You should be able to do it. Right? Just don't think too many things at one time. One step at a time. So first you write the individual thing with the power. Right? Then for each individual thing, you write only one power for each. Right? Then you write all the same base with just one power. Another thing we have learned besides poly as subtract, multiply, and divide, right? With negative exponents, we also use negative exponents for the purpose of scientific notations, okay? So we need to do some scientific notations. So this is 3.25987 times 10 to the 2nd power. So this one is a scientific notation. Then we said, you know, you write a regular number, how it looks like. So what do? Small number times 10 to the positive power, it becomes bigger, right? Bigger, move how many places for the decimal point? 2. So if it's bigger, you move to the right. 1, 2, right? So it should be here. So what's your final answer? 325.987. Don't drop any of your digits, right? You need all the numbers for the accuracy of the original numbers. So if we multiply 5.321 times what? 10 to the negative 3 power, then it becomes smaller or bigger. If negative becomes smaller, right? Then you need to move your decimal point, become smaller means what? Move to the left hand side. How many positions? 3. 1, 2, 3. So that's your new decimal position. Then the empty space, you do what? 0, right? So that will be 0, 0, 5, 3, 2, 1. Don't drop anything, right? You need all the digits. So we will change in what? The scientific notations to the regular numbers. Then we do another way around, right? So if we have this one, 2, that's comma, 7, 8, 9, comma, 0, 0, 0. If we want to write in scientific notation, that means some number times 10 to the some power, right? So first you have to decide where is your decimal position. So it has to be what? Some kind of number before the decimal point. So just here, right? So you should have 2.789, right? And 0, 0, 0. If zeros after decimal point, you can just drop it. Then how many decimal points, how many positions you moved for your decimal point, right? It was here, right? It was here. So you move to here, right? How many places you moved? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you have to decide you use 6 or -6, right? But this is a small number to the bigger number, so you have to multiply what? Positive or negative? Positive. You need to multiply positive. If it's from small number to the bigger number, you need to multiply a positive. If from bigger number to the smaller number, you need to multiply by a negative exponent, right? So next one, 0.000047, and change it to the what? Scientific notation. So you have to write your answer with what? One number before the decimal point. So at least you need this. So you move to here, right? So you know it's 4.7, right? So you move how many? 5 position. So you do -5 or 5. This number is bigger, this number is smaller. From bigger number to the smaller number, you need to multiply a negative exponent, right? So that would be our review 3. Study it.